Hi there, everyone. My name is Allison Hirth, alongside Taylor Peters, the host and producer of Fearless, the podcast, and you are watching, or maybe you're listening, to Fearless Behind the Mic. This is a little different for us.
Yeah, just
we're normally
bit. It's
not
like a flashback to our news days.
Yeah, we're normally not in front of a camera.
Right.
We send it for a podcast.
Right, exactly.
Tell us a little bit about, before we jump into season 2, the inspiration behind Fearless. How did this get started?
So when I think about the start of Fearless, it immediately takes me back to, I started in January of 2021, and in literally the first month here, we're walking around campus and we're doing some shoots. And I don't know if this is your first memory, but it's mine. You and I pretty much instantly bonded over our shared love of podcasts.
Right.
And so we are kind of talking about the podcasts that we listen to. And you just asked, would you ever do this? And I thought, yeah, I think I would. And it seems to me like from even those early conversations, Fearless just really took its shape almost immediately. I mean, we had vision then, exactly what we wanted the style to be, the types of stories that we wanted to tell. And I think that, to me, Fearless is really rooted in our identity as storytellers, like our passion for sharing great stories. And really the opportunities are endless on this campus. Is that how you remember it starting?
Yeah, I mean, I think some people start their day with coffee. I start my day every single day with 2 podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like the day starts until I finish an NPR podcast and New York Times. And we always talk about them in the mornings when we get into work. Like, oh, did you listen to the Daily? And so podcasts are just such a big part of my life. So when we bonded over that shared experience and that shared love for them, we knew that this was probably going to work.
Exactly.
And season 1 did.
It did.
So let's talk about season 1. If you didn't listen to season 1, we had 6 episodes. Give us a quick recap about season 1.
Yeah, so season 1, like I said in the beginning, we started having conversations about, what is the story here? And it was so obvious that we had to talk about this global pandemic. This was the most relevant conversation that was happening in all of our lives, right? We're still in the middle of a shutdown. And so season 1 is a comeback from COVID, and it's sort of these like amazing, remarkable stories about all the people in our campus community and what their experience was. And we talked to a student who was studying abroad, and we talked to our campus leaders, and it just was sort of this amazing experience of like connecting with these people and being able to identify with their own experiences, because we all sort of shared in this crazy, unprecedented time. And so season 1 and season 2 are a little bit different. Season 2 is very research focused. And so we're talking about the life's work of people on our campus and truly the incredible things that they're doing that can potentially have life shaping results for our city, our state, and in some cases, really our world.
Yeah, you're right. It was about research. We knew we wanted to focus on research for season 2, but not the metrics so much. We talk about research a lot in the Office of Communications and Marketing. We talk about the research projects that are going on, which are worthy in and of themselves.
Absolutely.
We talk about the numbers too. We talk about the number of proposals submitted. We talk about the expenditures, the record number of expenditures. But we wanted to talk about the people and what inspires them to do this work. And that's what we do in season 2. I think the challenge was, how do we narrow it down, right?
So in the very beginning, that really was one of the first things that we did. We kind of determined, all right, this is the direction that we're going to go. We looped in a couple of people within our team with the Office of Communications and Marketing. And then the very first thing that we did was we had a meeting with Dr. Heppert and some of the colleagues or some of the individuals from his office, and they gave us direction. And so then we were able to determine, what are we going to feature in each of these episodes? What are the faculty that we're going to bring in, and how are we going to sort of create this conversation? And I think that something that's in the DNA of Fearless will always be the people, and it's always going to be about the way that we're sharing these stories. And that was something that was a priority for us. And so we have this conversation of who are you, what are you doing, and why? And that's something that I think really breathes life to this season, is because we are actually being really intentional about drawing a connection. The average person, me and you, we maybe don't know about this research, but we're learning about these things and why it's relevant to us, and we're being able to understand the people and how they're motivated by the average person and by the average community. And I think that's something that's really powerful and that kind of stands out in this season.
There are so many fantastic stories throughout the season. Without giving away specifics, is there one that stands out to you as something you'll never forget? Maybe it's a research project, maybe it's a person.
Yeah, so in this season we get into energy and we get into conversations about things like agriculture, but we had this one interview with a couple of professors, of peer professors, and we sat down and really it started out, again, I don't want to give away too much, but it started out and you and I think we asked one question and then the rest of the hour-long interview was the two of them just feeding off each other and they just were sort of electric, and that was really cool because it was real passion, and what they are doing is incredible, that really has an opportunity to be able to go on to impact lots of different types of people within our society. And I think the human experience is something that is fascinating to me, and these people are doing something that is exceptionally unique and that really can't be found just anywhere, and they're sort of pioneering this new thing, and it's going to make a big difference to a lot of people, and you sort of will experience those stories in episode 3 of the podcast.
Yeah, and I got to experience it firsthand.
Yeah, you did.
That research in particular. I think for me so I don't want to get into naming names because inevitably I'm going to forget somebody, right? But Ashley Landrum in the College of Media and Communication, her research stood out to me, and many people who are familiar with Texas Tech might be familiar with Ashley and her work because it's so relevant in current political spheres, talking about these big societal issues and why people believe what they do. How does it make you feel about the future of Texas Tech after talking to all these individuals?
I feel like I've learned so much in producing this season, and I've had an opportunity to really gain a different level of appreciation and respect for, you know, work and people that I never would have known had I not produced this podcast, probably. And that's really cool because you're sort of empowered to be able to understand these people's stories, and you feel emotionally connected to the work that they're doing because of its importance. And so I think that as we sort of approach, 100 years of Texas Tech University, the future is really bright because of the focus that our leaders are putting on innovation and research, and they're encouraging our researchers and our professors on campus to do more, and they're challenging them in their interdisciplinary studies, and they're challenging them in their work, and I think that that's really reflected. What about you?
Yeah, I think the president sums it up, and I've heard him say this a couple of times on a couple of occasions about the work that's being done here in this sort of isolated location in West Texas doesn't just impact West Texas, it impacts the state, the country, and in some cases the world. And you hear someone say that and you're like, yeah, that's a really great line, but I think I really believe it. I know I really believe it after this season. There were so many examples from the individuals that we spoke with about not just their work being published in a paper, that it's being commercialized, and we're going to dig into that a little bit and talk about the effects that it's having on industry and on people like us. And so I think that was really cool to see.
What is something that you're going to take away that maybe has impacted the way that you either pursue, your relationships and your interactions with faculty, but how you pursue sort of life?
Yeah, I think it's the faculty. I think the inspiration behind the work was what I really hope is conveyed through this season, that these are people with families in some cases, with just genuine curiosity, wanting to make a difference, and they are.
Yeah, and storytelling it's highly relational, and that's something that you and I pursue when we go into these offices of these researchers. That's what we're wanting to do, is we're wanting for them to tell us who they are, but we want to know more about them, and we want to know more about their experience, and that's something that will always be really important to us in Fearless.
Okay, so whether you are watching or listening to this before or after you are listening to season 2, we hope that you enjoy season 2, but more than that, we hope that you are inspired by it. We hope that you feel more connected to the people on this campus doing this work. And when you do listen to season 2, or maybe you go back and listen to season 1 again, don't forget to like, review, and subscribe, and tell a friend, tell a neighbor. We certainly appreciate it. Taylor, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.